NBA Power Rankings are Raptors legitimate Eastern Conference contenders. The Toronto Raptors can't be contenders in the Eastern Conference, can they? They reached their ceiling 2 seasons ago, when they won a franchise-best 56 games and advanced to the conference finals, right? Through 37 games, the Raptors have proven worthy of the attention, and the respect, of their Eastern Conference counterparts. DeMar DeRozan has earned a spot in the MVP conversation, and the bench, "We're looking at you," Delon Wright, has shown it's more than capable of carrying the load on a nightly basis. But as the winter doldrums set in across the NBA, will this continue? With 2017 in the books, here's how we view the league's current power structure. Voters, listed at the bottom of this page, include NBA reporters from across the USA Today network. 1. Golden State Warriors, 32-8. Last week, Stephen Curry has scored 144 total points in 4 games since returning from the ankle injury that kept him sidelined for 11 consecutive games, which, according to LS Sports Bureau, is the highest point total for a player in his first 4 games back after missing 10 straight since Chris Webber in 2001. 2. Boston Celtics, 33-10. Last week, the Celtics, who head to London for Thursday's matchup with the 76ers riding an NBA best 6-game winning streak, are on pace to finish with their best record in 10 seasons. 3. Toronto Raptors, 27-10. Last week, the Raptors, who boast a 14-1 record at home, play 8 of their 12 remaining games this month at Air Canada Centre. 2 of those games, January 11th and 13th, come against Cleveland and Golden State. 4. Cleveland Cavaliers, 26-13. Last week, Cleveland's bench, anchored by Dwyane Wade and Kyle Korver, ranks 3rd in the NBA in terms of offensive rating, scoring 110 points per 100 possessions. 5. San Antonio Spurs, 27-14. Last week, the Spurs suffered another setback in the injury department Friday, with Kawhi Leonard going down with a partial tear in his left shoulder. This time, though, the Spurs don't expect their perennial MVP candidate to miss an extended period of time. 6. Houston Rockets, 27-11. Last week, the Rockets have lost 7 of their last 9 and are now just 1.5 games ahead of San Antonio for 2nd place in the West. 7. Minnesota Timberwolves, 25-16. Last week, Karl Anthony Towns ranks 5th in the NBA with 11.9 rebounds per game, but the Timberwolves are just 23rd as a team. "We've just got to make a conscious effort to go get them," Jimmy Butler said after Friday's loss to Boston, in which Towns grabbed 23 of Minnesota's 43 boards. "We can't just rely on Cat to get every single rebound. He did a great job of it, but we've got to help him. He can't be everywhere on the floor." 8. Washington Wizards, 23-17. Last week, John Wall averages more blocked shots per game, 1.1, than many of the NBA's starting centers, including Steven Adams, DeAndre Jordan, Nikola Jokic, Tyson Chandler and teammate Marcin Gortat. "It's nothing I've seen before. Nothing I probably will see for a long time. I don't know how to explain it," Wizards coach Scott Brooks said of his point guard shot-blocking prowess, per the Washington Post. "He has great instincts and he obviously has the physical abilities to get from point A to point B and get in the air. He has great timing. Some of those shots that he blocks, they're momentum changers. They're energy boosters for us." 9. Oklahoma City Thunder, 22-18. Last week, Paul George has 118 three-pointers made on the season, good for 3rd in the NBA, and leads the league in steals with 87. He's also shooting 43.4% from beyond the arc, a significant increase over his previous career high of 39.3%. 10. Miami Heat, 22-17. Last week, the Heat have been one of the hottest teams in the NBA over the past 10 games and find themselves sitting comfortably in the Eastern Conference playoff race, sandwiched 1/2 game between Washington and Milwaukee for 5th place. 11. Milwaukee Bucks, 21-17. Last week, 11. The Bucks are on the verge of adding a former number 2 overall pick and all-star caliber talent to their lineup in Jabari Parker, who's recovering from a torn ACL in his left knee for the second time in 3 years. Parker, slated to return sometime in February, says the only thing that's left is conditioning. 12. Denver Nuggets, 21-18. Last week, 13th Ray Lyles, who Utah sent to Denver on draft day for rookie Donovan Mitchell, has been a pleasant surprise for the Nuggets since Paul Millsap went down, averaging 16.5 points and 7.1 rebounds in just 28.5 minutes in his past 15 games. 13. Detroit Pistons, 21-17. Last week, 9. The Pistons, sans Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson, put together a much-needed win over Houston on Saturday, downing yet another one of the top teams in the Western Conference. The Pistons have also beaten Golden State, San Antonio, Oklahoma City and Minnesota, twice, this season. 14. Portland Trail Blazers, 21-18. Last week, 12. Shabazz Napier has been stellar while filling in as a starter for Damian Lillard, averaging 18.2 points, 5.4 assists, 4.8 rebounds and 2 steals in 5 games, 4 of which were wins. 15. Philadelphia 76ers, 19-19. Last week, 17. The Sixers boast the NBA's largest margin of victory, 60 total points, over the past 4 games and are right back in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference playoff race. 16. Indiana Pacers, 2019. Last week, 16. Victor Oladipo returned from a 4-game absence on Saturday, and just like that, the Pacers looked like a playoff team again, routing Chicago to snap a 5-game losing streak. 17. New Orleans Pelicans, 19-19. Last week, 15. Despite all the ups and downs that have come with the 2017-18 campaign, the Pelicans still hold a 2-game lead over the 9th-place Clippers and have a favorable schedule ahead, as 8 of their remaining 12 games this month come against teams not currently in the playoffs. 18. Los Angeles Clippers, 17-21. Last week, 19. Lou Williams, now in his 13th NBA season, is making a strong case for his second Sixth Man of the Year award, averaging career highs in points, 21.9 per game, assists, 4.9, and 3-point percentage, 40.6. 19. New York Knicks, 19-21. Last week, 18. Just how much do the Knicks miss Tim Hardaway Jr., who has been sidelined since late November with a leg injury? Their offense ranks 27th in the NBA, 102.7 points scored per 100 possessions, in 19 games since his injury. It ranked 13th in the 21 games prior. 20. Utah Jazz, 16-24. Last week, 20. The Jazz, who have lost 8 of their last 10 games, are last in the NBA in offensive rating during that span, scoring just 99.2 points per 100 possessions. 21. Charlotte Hornets, 15-23. Last week, 25. The Hornets, who committed just 3 turnovers in Tuesday's win over Sacramento, lead the league in ball security with 500 turnovers through 38 games. 22. Phoenix Suns, 16-26. Last week, 24. Josh Jackson and Dragan Bender, 2 building blocks on Phoenix's roster, put together 2 of the best games of their young careers in Sunday's win over Oklahoma City. Bender sank a career-high 6 3-pointers, on only 8 attempts, and Jackson tallied career bests in rebounds, 10, and assists, 5. 23. Brooklyn Nets, 15-24. Last week, 22. The Nets earned their 15th win of the season on Wednesday, a mark they didn't reach until March 23 last season. 24. Chicago Bulls, 14-26. Last week, 21. It appears as though the Bulls have found themselves a point guard for the future in Chris Dunn, who was one of just 6 players in December to average at least 14 points and 8 assists. 25. Dallas Mavericks, 13-28. Last week, 23. Though they're tied for the second most losses in the NBA this season, the Mavericks have only lost those games by an average of 9.2 points, tied for 7th best in the league. 26. Memphis Grizzlies, 12-27, last week. 26. With all the negative storylines to come out of Memphis this season, the resurgence of Tyreke Evans is something we can all get behind. The 28-year-old, whose career has been marred by injuries since he won Rookie of the Year in 2010, has been the Grizzlies' best player thus far, averaging 19.7 points, 5.1 rebounds and 4.7 assists while shooting 41.6% from beyond the arc. 27. Sacramento Kings, 13-25, last week. 27. The Kings are losing games by an average of 16.3 points, the worst mark in the NBA since Charlotte in the 2011-12 season. 28. Los Angeles Lakers, 12-27, last week. 30. After another week in which off-the-court drama overshadowed an inferior on-court product, the Lakers managed to snap their 9-game losing streak on Sunday with a rout of Atlanta, their first win at Staples Center since November. 29. Orlando Magic, 12-28, last week. 28. The Magic have just one win since December 7, the worst record in the NBA during that span. 30. Atlanta Hawks, 10-29, last week. 29. What's worse than getting blown out by the lowly Lakers? Getting blown out by the lowly Lakers 2 nights after getting blown out by Portland, which came 3 nights after a last-second loss to Phoenix. This week's voters: USA Today Sports' Sam Amick, Jeff Zilgent, Michael Singer and Ajnu Harthkus, Detroit Free Press Vince Ellis, The Record's Steve Popper, The Indianapolis Star's Clifton Brown, Milwaukee Journal Sentinel's Matt Velasquez,